What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Sunday, April 24th. So we have some somewhat shocking news that is coming out that I want you to be well aware of. A lot of it's because of these lockdowns that are going on in China. So I want to address what's happening and how you can somewhat prepare. I want to talk about some recession news, what we are hearing, and some of it's actually good. But the good news that we're hearing is banking that the Federal Reserve actually achieves a soft landing, which some say is highly unlikely. We're also going to talk about food shortages, and lastly, I want to address some news on the 401k, what people are currently doing, and how they can eventually retire with a comfortable nest egg. So that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But let's get right down to it. Here's what I can tell you. And honestly, I hate being the one always warning people of what's likely to come. But again, when I turn on the news, nobody's really talking about this. And that is these Chinese lockdowns. They're still going on. The residents in China have been locked in their homes in Shenzhen, China. They've been locked in for about a month, right? They're just now coming out of hiding. Businesses are shutting down in Shanghai and all over China. People are being pushed into their homes because of the fear of COVID. If you have a pet that is suspected of having COVID, well, they kill it off, right? That's what we're seeing. But this is just in China. But in China, what's happening there is impacting us here in the United States. Okay? Their economy is taking a hit. But the rest of the world is expected to take this hit very soon, because many countries, especially here in the United States, we are reliant on Chinese goods. Now, this is going to cause much more inflation. The ongoing supply chain nightmare is going to persist. Things aren't going to get better, okay? But now companies are starting to worry that these lockdowns are going to have a major impact on their business. We know that 1 in 5 container ships are pretty much stuck at ports all across the world. They're not going anywhere. 30% of the backlog is actually coming directly from China itself, right? And shipping consultants, they are expecting the full impact of Chinese lockdowns to come within the next few weeks. Now, and again, let's break this down, because even though Shenzhen, China, their lockdown went for about a month, I believe started on like March 24th or 25th, we are just, and again, they're just now coming out of this, but we are just now starting to see the effects of it, okay? Shenzhen, China is like the tech capital of the world. Now in Shanghai, and this is where a lot of products are manufactured, well, they went into a lockdown, I believe it was on March 28th. I think it was March 28th. Okay, don't quote me on this, but I think. Okay, now they could still be in they're still in this lockdown, but the full effects of this lockdown, we could see that here in the United States within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's what we're expecting. Okay, but this has been why many experts have warned people: go and buy the goods that you need now and don't wait. If you wait, they might not be there. Maybe you need some type of medical device. Well, I understand, if you don't have a lot of money right now, it's very difficult to go and buy something when it's like, well, I need that money to pay for food or pay for my rent or utilities. That makes sense. But experts say that if you wait too long, you might not be able to get the item that you need. So if it's a medical issue, you should probably get the item that you need, because it might not be there in a couple weeks or a month. Okay, so they say it would ensure that you get the item that you need, but you would likely pay less now if you buy the product now than if you buy it in 2 weeks or a month. So that's somewhat shocking that in Shenzhen, China, and in Shanghai, they've been locked down for over a month, and we are just now going to see the effects, or within the next couple of weeks. So it's very interesting what's going to happen there. But again, I promise I will be here every step of the way, and I will fill you in on what is currently happening. Now, I do want to touch on the news of a recession. And over the past probably month, I brought up a recession multiple times. Fannie Mae believes we will dip into a recession in 2023. Right? Got Bloomberg economists, you got JP Morgan, you got many people that are predicting what's going to happen. Now, many economists are predicting that the U.S. is going to dip into a recession sometime in 2023 or 2024. But the Federal Reserve doesn't think that is necessary. They think that there's a way out of this. The Fed says that the job market is extremely and historically tight and unsustainably hot. Why is this good news? Well, this is good news to the Fed. Here's the reason why. The reason is because the Federal Reserve has the ability to now raise rates, which would cool the economy and help fight inflation. But being that the economy is so hot, the job market is so hot and unsustainably hot, according to the Fed, this means that they can raise rates, and even if it cools off the economy just a little bit or even quite a bit, they can do so without causing a recession if it's done correctly. Now, what multiple economists expect is that the Fed is going to raise rates. This is going to reduce the amount of current job openings. And they say this because they're hoping employers will opt to reduce the number of open positions, right? And stop putting postings out there for new jobs, right? New hiring. And they hope that's what they do as opposed to reducing staff and laying off employees. And if they reduce the current number of job openings, it's going to slow wage increases. And a slower wage increase will most likely help fight inflation. Okay? There's a bunch of different sides to this. But that's what the Federal Reserve is expecting. Okay? Or at least according to multiple economists. That is what the Federal Reserve would most likely try to do. Now again, this is what we call that soft landing. But if it doesn't happen like this, if there's other things that get in the way, well, we might be hit pretty hard. So just understand, a recession is not inevitable, according to many, but it could still happen. Okay? So you have to be prepared for that. Now, let's talk about food prices. Let's talk about shortages. Because what we're seeing is that the cost of food keeps increasing. And as the cost of food keeps increasing, this is going to hurt the low-income families and the middle-income families the most. What we are seeing right now is that food pantries all across the United States are seeing increased demand because of the rising cost of food. The amount of money that that family used to have or still has, it doesn't give them the ability to afford the same amount of food that they could 2 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago. Also, the supply is diminishing. Because of all the issues that we see over in Russia and Ukraine, because of the weather that we've had here in the United States and in other countries as well, it's causing a lot of issues for crops and farmers and pretty much everything in between. But because of these, we're not getting as much supply. And so what we're hearing is too many food pantries aren't getting the donations that they used to get. And a lot of that is due to rising prices. But it's also due to supply chain disruptions. According to a report, many well-off families have stated that they actually don't donate to food pantries like they used to because the products that last for a long time are usually the first ones off the shelves in the grocery stores. That makes sense because that's exactly what I'm seeing. I go in and buy you want to go and buy, green beans in the can or canned corn or whatever, right? You go and it's like, oh, they don't have any. Or they got one can and it looks like it got ran over by the forklift. That's what I see. But, I've heard from people that in the comment section here in the community that say, down in Texas, our shelves are completely full. And so it's really about, where you're living. That's really it. Because some states are getting more supply than others. And some cities, especially bigger cities, do have more stuff that comes in. But it's those rural areas, they get very little. So just keep that in mind as you're buying products or donating to a food pantry or wherever. Because some places can get stuff and some can't. Now, This is something that I usually don't talk about, and I don't talk about 401k or really retirement investing too much, just because, well, I'm still a little ways away, right? I still got like 30 some years. Now, I want to talk about your retirement and what you may or may not have in your 401k. Now, for me personally, and again, this is just my preference, I don't like the idea of a 401k. And the whole purpose of a 401k was pretty much just to put your money into an account, tax deferred, okay? Because when taxes were so high, you don't want your money taxed at a very high amount. You want taxed at the lowest amount possible, okay? That was the whole purpose of a 401k. But now, for me personally, I would only put my money into a 401k if there was an employee or an employer match. If there was not an employer match, I would say it's just not a good idea, okay? But again, that's not financial advice. That was just what I would do. Now, let's first look at the balances of people at different ages, okay? And I want you to kind of compare where you're at versus where the average person is at. And I want to explain why this is so important. Look at this. The average 401k, okay? Let me move this out of the way a little bit. The average 401k for somebody that's 45 to 54 is $161,000. Okay, that's the average. We're just gonna go off average. The average 401k for somebody between 55 and 64 is $232,000. And somebody that's 65 years of age and older is $255,000. Now, why is this so important? Well, let's just assume you do not get Social Security. Okay? And a lot of people bank on, oh, well, I'm going to get Social Security. I'm going to be perfectly fine. I understand that. And for some people, you will get Social Security. For others, you may not. I'm 35 years old. I don't know if Social Security will be around when I'm ready to go and collect it, right? So for me, it's like, and it doesn't matter if you're 5 years away or 30 years away, you should not count on Social Security. You should only count on Social Security as a bonus. Because I can tell you right now, and anybody that is collecting Social Security benefits can tell you, the government is not going to bail you out. They will not, okay? But look at this. Let's say you have $255,000 in your account, right? Let's say that's what you have. That's what you're going to get, okay? So let's see, 255. Okay, and let's say that's what you have. All right, you are going to spend about 4%. Okay, or that's what you're going to get. You could probably take out between 4 to 5% per year. Okay, and then you got to obviously adjust for inflation. Well, that leaves you with that number. Okay, and that's per year. Divide that by 12. That leaves you with $850 per month. That's coming from your 401k. Not bad. Okay, $850. But what could you afford for $850? Not much. But let's go and change that. Okay, because $255,000 is not going to buy you a lot. Okay, but if you have a little over $1 million, okay, and again, $1 million, it seems like a lot of money, but at the same time, it's not. Okay, let's do the same math. 4%, that's $40,000 a year. Divide that by 12. Okay, that's $3,400. Now here's what many experts say. Financial experts tell you need $100 per day, right? $100 per day. Say 31 days in a month. You got $3,100, right? That's what you need. That is roughly $950,000 that you would need in your account. Okay, divide that by 12. There we go. You would need roughly $950,000 in your 401k if you're living off 4% in order to have $100 per day. But let me ask you this. How many of you could survive off of just $100 per day right now? That's the issue. And this is where a lot of people say, well, it's tough. I'm never going to make $1 million, right? And let's just look at the math. Let's look at the math right here. Okay? Let's say you get paid $40,000 per year, right? Okay. Well, it would take you $1 million divided by 40,000. Oops. That would take you 25 years. 25 years. Do you see why it's going to take you a long time? That's at $40,000 per year. Some people don't even make $40,000 per year. Some people make $400,000 per year. But again, it comes down to the numbers. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because a lot of people, the average person does not have what they need in savings or retirement. They don't have it in their 401k. They just don't have it. And if you look at all the different experts, some say just save 10%. No, you actually have to save like 15 to 20% now. Others say don't invest into a 401k. That's kind of the belief that I have. But again, that's just my personal belief. I would rather invest into real estate, myself, businesses. I think that would give me a bigger return on investment. So that's what I do. But again, you don't need to listen to everybody. You just need to find that one person, and it doesn't matter who it is. Find that one person that you can align yourself with. Okay? Figure out what is it that they really like. How is this going to benefit you? And are you going to be able to afford to retire eventually at some point? Okay? But just want to touch on that for a second because I know a lot of people are saying, I see the stock market. The stocks are coming down. Should I cash out my 401k? Should I do this? Should I do that? Well, yeah, I understand. Everybody's different. So figure out what your goal is. Go talk to a financial advisor and figure out what they have to tell you, what they would say, what they would recommend, and then go from there. All right? So that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.